There are moments in life where everything around you feels loud, urgent, chaotic, demanding your attention. But inside, it's just silence, not the kind that feels peaceful. This one is deeper, haunting. It's the kind of silence that feels sacred, like something ancient has gone missing, but not completely. The one that gently, yet firmly asks, "What are you doing with your life?" It still echoes, not from the outside world, but from somewhere inside you, the core, your soul. Have you ever heard that kind of silence, that quiet voice, almost a whisper, but powerful enough to shake something loose inside you? It's not the voice of your to-do list, not your responsibilities, not your boss, your parents, or your followers. This voice is older, wiser, chasing someone else's idea of success, seeking validation, applause, acceptance. We shapeshift, contort, edit ourselves just to belong, and in doing so, we drift further and further from who we truly are. Like you're reciting lines from a script you didn't write, wearing a costume that doesn't quite fit. It's the voice of the real you, the version of yourself you've been pushing aside, ignoring, or silencing for years, maybe decades. The sacred path of returning to your true self, not the one shaped by expectations, but the one that was there long before you ever worried about what others thought. Watching, hoping you'll notice, hoping you'll come back. You can't keep ignoring the sacred responsibility of becoming who you were meant to be. It's more like a slow leak, a drip, drip, drip of the spirit. Every time you fake a smile, every time you swallow your truth to keep things comfortable. What are you waiting for? It's done being held hostage by fear, by expectations, by noise. Every time you stay quiet when your whole being is screaming no, we spend so much of our lives trying to fit in, until one day you wake up and something feels off. On the outside, things may look fine. You have what people would call a good life. But inside, there's a hollow space. It keeps moving whether you're fully alive or not because you're lacking stuff, but because you've lost touch with yourself. Look at your life, not just what it looks like, but what it feels like. When you start being honest with yourself about what is not working, about what you've abandoned just to survive. Played strong when all you wanted was to fall apart. Carl Jung once said the biggest issue facing modern man is his disconnection from the soul. And that loss doesn't hit like a lightning bolt. Or is it a carefully constructed mask designed to keep the peace and approval and avoid discomfort? Have you ever felt like you're living someone else's story? It's like you're playing a part day in, day out, while the real you waits quietly in the wings. That quiet part of you, that ache for something more, that's the beginning of what Jung called individuation. But when you forget it as a mask, when you start to believe it, as who you are, that as when it becomes dangerous, you can't keep pouring your time, your energy, your life into things that don't actually belong to you. This isn't some inspirational speech to make you feel good. It's not comfortable, and it's not supposed to be. This is meant to shake something in you, to stir the parts you've buried, to tell you your soul is done waiting. So ask yourself, who are you living for? Who are you trying to impress? Why are you still doing things that leave you empty? Jung said, no one becomes enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Real transformation doesn't come from ignoring your pain or pretending everything's okay. It comes when you stop running, when you sit with the discomfort, because the more you avoid yourself, the more you feel like a stranger in your own skin. And life, it doesn't wait. But here's the beautiful thing. It's not too late. You're still in time. Take a second, not with your mind, but with your soul. Who does this life belong to? Is it really yours? Jung talked about the persona, the mask we wear to interact with the world. It serves a purpose. It helps us survive socially. How many times have you said yes when your whole body screamed no? Smiled when your heart was breaking? The issue isn't the mask itself. It's that we let the mask become our identity. We let the performance replace the person. We get so busy playing the role, chasing what we're supposed to want, that we forget to ask, does any of this even make sense to me? We become actors in someone else's play, speaking lines written by society, by culture, by fear. And underneath it all, the soul watches, waits. It just transforms into anxiety, dissatisfaction, burnout, numbness. You can have all the success in the world and still feel completely lost. Every time you say yes to the world, but no to yourself, a piece of you dies, and your unconscious starts to fill up with sadness, with resentment, with longing. Remembers, the price of belonging at any cost, it's high. That's your shadow. The part of you that you've rejected, denied, disowned. It doesn't vanish. It's filled with shadows, grief, regrets, and truths you've tried to forget. But it's also filled with something else: freedom, authenticity, power. So what if just for one? Do you drop the mask? No filters, no roles, no pretending. What would happen if you let yourself just be you? It just is. It radiates from the inside out, attracted the same kind of people, repeated cycles you swore you'd never go through again. It's not just bad luck, it's not fate. It's the unconscious pulling the strings behind the curtain, afraid of what you might find if you really look. But healing doesn't happen from a distance. You have to enter the labyrinth. You have to sit with the pieces of yourself you've tried to bury. It's not easy. Jung never claimed it was. The inner journey, it's not glamorous, it's not linear. It begins when you descend, when you're willing to walk into the parts of yourself you've kept hidden in the dark. It seeps into your life in subtle ways through emotional outbursts, self-sabotage, toxic relationships, addictions, perfectionism. It wears many masks, but deep down, it's crying out to be seen. It's everything you suppressed in order to survive: your instincts, your anger, your grief, your sensitivity, your unmet needs. It's your abandoned self, the parts you've labeled too messy, too painful, too unacceptable. A part that's been silenced, shamed, or ignored. And that part isn't asking for revenge, it's asking for reconciliation. It wants to be welcomed back. It wants peace, a descent, a conscious decision to face what you've denied. And yes, it's going to hurt. You can't form real connections if you're projecting your unresolved pain onto everyone else. It is the threshold you must cross if you want to live a life that is real. And only those who dare to walk through it ever discover who they really are. You won't find peace unless you're willing to face your own inner war. But it's also going to free you. Stop avoiding. Turn inward. Look at what you've disowned. Listen to what your soul has been trying to say. And when you're ready, embrace it. Because no one becomes whole without embracing their darkness. It's for the brave, for those who are tired of pretending, for those who are ready to stop numbing and start feeling. A part of you is waking up. You might not have all the answers, but that flicker of awareness, that matters. That's enough to start. You find gold in the place you thought was only made of wounds. Not power over others, but the kind of grounded, calm strength that comes from finally being in alignment with yourself. That kind of power doesn't need to prove anything, and you already have it in you. And Jung made it very clear: until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Your shadow is tired of being ignored. Your soul is ready. The only question is, are you? Are you ready to keep going inward? Because here's the truth: real transformation doesn't happen on the surface. But that darkness, it's not your enemy. It's not there to destroy you. It's your shadow. So, how many times have you felt stuck in the same patterns? Maybe you've been running from yourself for a long time. And here's something vital to remember. The shadow is not evil. It's not something to be ashamed of. And the more you reject it, the louder it becomes. There's a part of you that has never been fully loved. That's why this path isn't a straight line. It's a spiral. Because when you go into the dark, not to fight it, but to understand it, you find truth. You can't be whole without your shadow. This journey isn't for the faint of heart. It's not for those who want quick fixes or superficial answers. And if you've made it this far, then something in you is already stirring. Because the shadow isn't the end, it's the beginning. So stop running. Think about it. You look at the world every day and you think you're seeing reality. You point fingers, you judge, you admire, you criticize. But what if the world you're seeing is really just a reflection, a mirror of what's living inside you? We don't just see other people, we see ourselves in them. We see the parts we deny, the traits we disown, the desires we haven't allowed ourselves to feel. What we repress, we end up noticing in others. What we long for, we idealize. What we fear, we attack. Maybe they ray holding a quality you've buried inside yourself, one you ray afraid to fully claim. Jung explained this as projection. You start loving an illusion or resenting someone for traits you're not even conscious of. And this is where toxic patterns begin, when we expect others to complete what we haven't healed. Ever hated someone instantly without knowing why? Felt triggered by someone's confidence, their joy, their power? That's not about them, it's about you. Your unconscious is trying to get your attention, trying to show you something you haven't yet accepted within yourself. Just ask, what part of me is being revealed right now? That person who constantly criticizes you? Maybe they're reflecting a harsh inner voice you haven't questioned. That person you admire so deeply, not with your ears but with your heart, because the soul doesn't shout, it whispers. There was a time when you knew who you were, not because someone told you, not because you had a label or a role, but because you felt it deeply, silently. You played, you dreamed, you felt without shame. You were whole, that you had to choose between being accepted and being yourself. Every relationship, every interaction, every emotional reaction is a mirror. There are no enemies, only teachers. No accidents, only symbols trying to guide you back to yourself. But projection can also trap you. It distorts how you see others. It clouds your judgment. It's your soul speaking to you, saying, look, this is where you need to go next. This is what still needs to be healed. Like wiping the fog from a mirror so you can finally see. Clearly, not a universal answer, but a deeply personal truth. And when you learn to listen, you start to remember what your conscious mind has forgotten. No one can save you. No one can fix what you haven't owned. Only you can take back your projections slowly, one by one. Not just random nonsense, but powerful symbols carrying truth. Not from lack, but from wholeness. Not from fear, but from love. Not from need, but from true presence. And when you do, you'll start relating from a different place. They're stories from your inner world, stories only you can decode. It's reconnecting with the archetypes inside you, the inner child, the wounded healer, the hero, the lover. You only need to close your eyes and go inward. They're all still in there, waiting for you. Because everything you see, every emotion that arises in the presence of someone else is a message. So, next time you feel a strong emotion, pause, don't react, and listen. And now I want you to remember something. When you were a child, the world was full of wonder. Trees spoke, time didn't matter. But then the world taught you to forget. That imagination was childish. That being sensitive was weakness. And slowly, you started burying pieces of your soul under logic, responsibility, pressure. You learned to survive by becoming someone else. But the soul never forgets. And when it's ignored, it speaks in a different language, the language of dreams. Jung believed dreams were direct messages from the unconscious. Have you ever dreamed of falling? Of being chased, of flying? These aren't just dreams. Each symbol means something to you. Dreaming isn't escaping. It's remembering. You don't have to climb mountains or reach milestones to find yourself, because the real journey, the one that matters, starts in the quiet space, where you finally remember who you are. Of course, the world won't always encourage this kind of introspection. It celebrates speed, productivity, image doing. But who in this world of constant motion actually stops long enough to listen? Who pauses long enough to remember? Only someone who's truly alive. Only someone who's tired of being disconnected. Only someone who knows that real peace doesn't come from having more, it comes from remembering more. They're lighthouses. They're the soul's way of whispering, I'm still here. You haven't lost me. Your dreams, those silent stories you carry while you sleep, are not distractions, chasing success that feels hollow, love that feels performative, happiness that doesn't last, because dreaming isn't about drifting away from life, it's about returning to it, returning to yourself. And when you give them space, something within you begins to heal, slowly, quietly, deeply. Most people live at the edges of who they are, running in loops, striving for goals that were never really theirs. It's an ancient, deeply personal, deeply spiritual process. It's the alchemy of the soul. It means recognizing your fragmentation, your contradictions, Your brokenness and embracing all of it. But underneath all of that, there's a soft, persistent voice calling you back to center, back to truth. That voice is the start of the process Carl Jung called individuation, the journey. Back to wholeness. This isn't self-help. It's not a motivational trick. The roles, the masks, the expectations you've outgrown, the safety nets you've used to stay small. It's living in alignment with your soul. No longer hiding from your shadow. No longer denying your needs, your doubts, your fire. Listening, breathing differently, being present. And to get there, you have to walk through fire. It's a dance, a lifelong relationship between the conscious and unconscious parts of you, between what you already know and what you're still discovering. The truth that you are not broken. You were just divided, and that division, it's what brought you here. And that's why you have to stop imitating, stop comparing, and start exploring. Start asking your own questions. Start writing your own story. It doesn't shout, it doesn't demand, but it always points true. To individuate doesn't mean to become the best version of yourself. It means to become your true self, not perfect whole. It means no longer rejecting the parts of you that hurt. Even in your uncertainty, even in your fear, something in you said yes. And under all that static, the soul retreats, a silence that holds you not in fear, but in truth, a space where you don't have to perform, don't have to prove. You can just be. You've made it this far, and that means something in silence, in stillness, in that sacred pause. Jung said that to be an individual is not to be selfish, it's to be indivisible. It's to be undivided. You have to reconcile all the opposites within you, the masculine and feminine, the rational and emotional, the light and the dark, because that feeling, that quiet knowing, it's the beginning of everything real. You have to face your shadow. You have to own your projections. And that kind of journey, it demands a symbolic death, the death of the old you. It knows who you are beneath it all. Individuation is death and rebirth. It's no longer living to meet others' expectations. It's no longer running on autopilot. It's waking up. And here's the hard truth. There's no map for this. No one-size-fits-all answer. No checklist. What heals one person might wound another. Individuation isn't a finish line. It's not a destination. And with each step, each fall, each awakening, you come closer to the truth. Not everyone will take this path. Most will choose the comfort of staying asleep. But you're here. Something deep inside you has already started this journey. You've crossed the threshold. And even when you feel lost, there's a compass inside you. That compass is your soul. It remembers what you've forgotten. So trust it. Trust the confusion. Trust the ache. Trust the feeling that something more is calling you. We live in a world filled with noise. Not just the sound of traffic or notifications, but the noise inside. Thoughts, expectations, everyone else's voice in your head. It hides. It waits. But deep inside you, there is a place untouched by all the noise, a sanctuary. That's where your healing begins. Jung saw silence not as emptiness, but as a door into the unconscious. Because when the world goes quiet, the soul begins to speak, not in logic, but in images, in feelings, in clarity that rises like light through the cracks. The still, small whisper of your soul saying, you're not lost. You're coming home, not in sentences. It's full of everything real, full of what matters. So ask yourself, when was the last time you just were? No distractions, no scrolling, no pretending. That's when you'll hear it, the voice you buried, the truth you forgot. It forces us to see what we've been avoiding, the emptiness, the wounds, the unconscious choices we've been making for years. But silence makes us uncomfortable because it strips away the illusion. Still, if you remain still long enough, you'll realize the void isn't empty. When the person you relied on leaves, when failure hits you in the chest, because silence is not the absence of life, it's the presence of soul, a strength you didn't think existed. We all try to run from pain. We disguise it, numb it, suppress it. We think happiness is the absence of hurt. But what if pain wasn't your enemy? What if it was a teacher? The loss of everything that kept you comfortable but small, They wear it like a name tag. Jung knew that transformation comes at a cost. It requires loss, the loss of illusions, the loss of false identities, a passage, a source of wisdom and depth. Because when you rise not for approval, not for applause, but because you know you're worth it, that is the soul returning. But within every loss, there's a crack, and through that crack, light enters. Pain is an initiator. It wakes you up. It demands truth. It breaks the ego so the soul can rise. You've felt it, haven't you? In those moments when everything you thought you needed falls apart, and yet, in the middle of that breakdown, something awakens. A voice you didn't know you had. Pain doesn't destroy you when you meet it with awareness. It becomes your portal. But not everyone chooses to grow from pain. Some people build their identity around their wound. They become victims of their own story. It's what gives your life meaning, not out there, but in here. It never left. It all leads to one thing, the return of your soul. It's not dead. It's not broken. It's simply waiting. Waiting to be called back. Stay quiet when your soul needs stillness. But you have another choice. A routine. A slow forgetting. A way back. A reclaiming. You can face it, feel it, and release it. The wound doesn't disappear, but it transforms. It becomes a bridge. Yes, transformation hurts, but it's also sacred. There is no strength more real than the strength of someone who has walked through hell and come back whole. Not perfect, not untouched, but whole. So now I ask you, are you ready to keep walking? Because not everything that's been lost is gone forever. Sometimes it's just waiting for you to remember. Your soul is like that, and that calling, that's what all of this inner work is about. The descent into your shadow, the integration of your unconscious, the willingness to face the mirror. The soul isn't a concept, it's your compass, it's your deepest truth, and when you're connected to that, even your pain makes sense. But when you're disconnected, everything becomes noise, everything becomes hollow. Returning to the soul is not poetic, it's necessary, because without it, life becomes a performance. So today, begin the return. Speak your truth when it trembles. Stop when you want to run. Cry when you need to. Each of those choices is a doorway. And no, it won't always be easy. Some days will feel like steps backward. Some moments will bring doubt. But if you can hold yourself with compassion, if you can choose honesty over perfection, you'll find something unshakable, your truth. And once you begin to live from that place, everything changes. You stop needing to convince anyone. You stop needing to prove yourself. You simply live, fully, honestly, deeply. Because now you're living from the soul, and that is sacred. If this message stirred something in you, if it made you pause, even for a moment, then you're ready. Say it in silence, or say it out loud. I am ready to be reborn. And from here your real life begins. If this video helped you in any way, please like, share and subscribe. This is just one part of the journey. There's more in the next video, and it's an important step. Real change happens when you keep going, one step at a time. See you in the next one.